Hey, um, welcome to episode 1 of Slaughter Cinema. I appreciate all of you guys stopping in, whether you're actually intrigued about the podcast and what we're doing here, or if you're here to laugh at me because of how bad I am to talking to a camera. Basically, today we have a fun episode planned. We are going to be answering some questions that people have left for me on my social media platforms. And we're going to be going over what this is as a podcast. So why don't we go ahead and get on into it? My first question is, what's the title of the podcast and why did you choose it? So the title of our podcast is Slaughter Cinema. I chose that name because of the fact that back in 2018, Halloween Horror Nights, which is my favorite horror event of all time, Universal, if you're watching this, come on. No, so basically back in 2018, Halloween Horror Nights had a haunted house called Slaughter Cinema, but it was spelled Sinema, so like sin. I took inspiration from that, obviously, but I spelled it correctly. I'm doing it as an homage to Horror Nights as a whole, but also just a house specifically because that house was based off of a bunch of like B-roll movies that were scary but didn't quite like scare people enough to where they could be their own houses, which, by the way, every section of that house was originally going to be themed to a full-length horror maze, but because of reviews of them not doing too well, they turned it into one collaborative house where there's sections of movies and you're walking through the movies as you go in a haunted movie theater. But I thought that process was really cool and I took inspiration from it. So now we have Slaughter Cinema. Second question is, why are you choosing to make a podcast? Well, that's a good question. I've been wanting to make a podcast for a long time now, and I haven't really been able to because of not having enough time, not having the resources, and not knowing what I wanted to do. But now I have all three. I have time, I have resources, and I have an idea. So why not do it? But yeah, podcasts have always intrigued me as a whole, and I think that starting a horror themed podcast is going to be really cool for me. What first got you into horror? That is a brilliant question, honestly. It goes way back to when I was like a child, like a newborn. My dad actually did special effects and pyrotechnics for Halloween Horror Nights back when I was younger, way back when. So he was a pyrotechnic and he did like special effects for like the shows, so like Bill and Ted back when they had that. He also did like smoke, fog, lasers for like inside the houses. So obviously, as you can tell, that has been a huge part of my life, and my dad would bring me during the day to Universal, and I would see like all the props that were out and everything. And when I was 2 years old, I think for Halloween, I was Chewbacca, and I don't remember this personally, but I like just hearing it from my mom and my dad. Basically, I was Chewbacca, and my dad wanted to do something special for me because, my birthday is coming up in 4 days after Halloween. So he took me to Halloween Horror Nights with him one night, and he took me to the Bill and Ted show. Now, I wasn't watching the Bill and Ted show. I was in the Bill and Ted show. I walked on stage as a 2-year-old dressed as Chewbacca. I'll find an image and I'll put it over here for you guys watching on YouTube. But I was on stage at Bill and Ted. Yeah. I walked on stage, hung out with Daisy Duke. Daisy Duke literally like gave me a hug, was holding me and stuff like that. You know, I was living the dream as a 2-year-old. But yeah, so I have a photo of me as Chewbacca, and that's basically what got me started in horror. What is the scariest scene you've seen in a movie? The scariest scene I've seen in a movie is actually, it was actually recent, or not too recent though. It was 2022, I believe. Oh man, I believe it was 2022, back when The Black Phone came out, by Blumhouse. And I was watching it, and this scene came on. I'll insert it.
Hello? Don't go upstairs. Why not?
The scene where Finney, the main character, was in the basement of the Grabber, played by Ethan Hawke. Basically, like, the phone goes off and it's ringing. He picks up, no one's there. Hangs it up, picks it back up. It's ringing. There's a voice. Honestly, I can't even say that specific scene scared me. That entire movie scared me because of how like realistic it was. Like, it was a good movie. Like, I genuinely could not imagine like what it would be like to be in that situation. So like, it terrified me. If you had to be stuck in a horror movie, what horror movie would it be? Honestly, I have to go with this is a hard one. I mean, if we're going off survival, like, I guess I would go for maybe Silence of the Lambs, because, you know, he's already locked up. But I don't know. Probably not. Probably Ash vs. Evil Dead, honestly. Or, like, the Evil Dead series as a whole. Like, hanging out with Ash would be amazing. Ash is such a cool character. And, like, he seems like he is such a badass. Like, you get your hand gets possessed. You chop that off. And now you have a chainsaw as a hand. And in your other hand, you're running a shotgun. Dude, like, that is so badass. I mean, but if we were going, like, I don't know, like, I mean, we went off survival, so I guess, like, something like I could not survive, like, if I knew I was gonna die kind of situation, like, what horror movie would I be in? Probably Saw. I think Saw is such, like, that entire franchise is such an interesting franchise. Like, I mean, it, like, the filmography and the story and the idea behind it is amazing. I mean, no, sorry. No, yeah, like I said, I think Saw is a really sick franchise. Like, sick bad, but also sick good. So, never cross an old man. You've learned that lesson many times in Saw. But yeah, I mean, Saw would definitely be a terrifying, like, universe to be in. What is a movie that scared you as a kid but doesn't scare you now? Child's Play, yeah. The whole Chucky franchise, like Chucky show on Peacock, Child's Play, Seed of Chucky, Bride of Chucky, all those. Just Child's Play 2 was the first ever horror movie I've watched as a kid. I was like maybe 5 or 6. Terrified me. I hated dolls forever. But like, watching Chucky, like the show, and watching, like, rewatching all the movies and everything, like, he is such a funny character. And I think that's why horror just, like, intrigues me overall, is like, not only can it be scary, but it could be funny as hell. Like, it could be so funny. And like, I mean, that's why like it intrigues me. Oh, okay, bye guys. The bye. Yeah. Let's get back. Okay. But yeah, like horror is just badass overall. Like it could be funny, it could be sick, it could be twisted, it could be gross, it could be like. Sometimes horror can be pretty. Horror can be pretty. Like beautiful, like scenery, beautiful, like beautiful, like set and like costuming, timing, dates, like a good dated piece, like Black Phone. I think it was set in the 70s or something like that, but it was still super cool. Like it was the most badass film I've ever seen, like the best dated piece. Then what else? What is your favorite Universal monster? My favorite Universal monster is the man himself, Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'll insert a clip of him right now, and like he is so badass. He's great. Like the most underrated Universal monster ever. Every single other like Universal monster has had a Halloween Horror Nights house about them. Like Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Mummy, Wolfman, Dracula, Phantom of the Opera, Hunchback, Invisible Man, Jekyll and Hyde. Like all of them have had Horror Nights houses about them. Not one Horror Nights house, except for the one back in 2019 when it was a collaborative of them. But not my man, Creature from the Black Lagoon, has not had a single Horror Nights house. A single one. And I thoroughly hope that this year for Horror Nights, they give him a house. If they don't, I will be very sad. Because my fish lips deserves a house. He deserves a house. Like, I don't know why we haven't gotten one yet for him. What is your favorite horror movie slasher or villain? Ooh, my favorite horror movie slasher is probably Leatherface. Leatherface, like that whole story about Leatherface and like Texas Chainsaw Massacre being realistic based off a real story. Like that's terrifying. Knowing that someone actually did what Texas Chainsaw does in real life terrifies me. Like, I was scared to eat chili for a week when I found out that it's based off a real story. And that chili was the main thing that was in that, like the whole case against the Texas Chainsaw guy in real life. He put human parts, like human meat, in his chili, which is why he won chili contests. I was terrified to eat chili for a week. Because, like, how do I know if it's not human meat? I mean, Texas Chainsaw is such, like, an amazing franchise. Like, granted, there have been some hit or misses with the remakes and everything, but Texas Chainsaw, the very first one, the 80s film, amazing, beautiful, like, amazing. Like, the filmography, the ending scene where he's waving the chainsaw around and he's freaking out, he's yelling, and because she gets away, like, that is awesome. Like, that is an iconic slasher scene. Like, I bet you can ask anyone, like, what is one of the most iconic horror scenes, and I guarantee you at least 10 people, like, we're going low because I don't want to risk anything, but I guarantee you at least 10 people will say the Texas Chainsaw ending scene. My favorite horror villain is probably, I don't know. I think Leatherface is my favorite slasher, but I think just my favorite villain in general would probably be either Ghostface or Freddy Krueger. Like, Ghostface and Freddy Krueger, the whole idea of, like, the whole gimmick that Ghostface has of him being 1,000 different people, and, like, you never know who it is. That is, like, that's such an interesting, like, idea behind a film. Like, the very first one with Stu and Billy, like having both of them at behind Ghostface, like a dual effort, is crazy because nobody expected that. Like people suspected like Billy, like some people suspected Stu, some people suspected the one guy who was super crazy about conspiracy theories about how horror is just real life. Like everybody thought it was like anyone. But like I don't think anybody, like when they were sitting in the movie theater watching this film, I don't think anybody could have called it being Billy and Stu. Like such a huge twist that like I was not expecting. But yeah, I think Ghostface would probably be my favorite like villain. And then like Freddy Krueger is just funny as fuck. Like excuse my language, but like he is so funny. Like in I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street 4 where they were in the mental asylum and the one girl's watching TV and it's not working, so she goes up trying to fix the antennas and he turns on and he's like, "Welcome to prime time," and just slams her face in the TV. Like what the hell? Like it I just think like 80s films were meant to be scary, and they were scary for their time. They were terrifying for their time. But as they get dated, they're funny. Like they're cheesy, they're funny, they're like scary, yes, but they're also easy to watch. So I feel like Nightmare on Elm Street 1, easy film. Easy like beginning film to get somebody started on. But yeah. Favorite horror movie. My favorite horror movie is actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I said before, if I said before. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 100%, like I said. And, like the idea behind that, like it's based off a true story. It like warped the story, yes, but it still managed to keep like the authenticity of like the actual like real life case. So I mean, that is just something that not many films can replicate, whether it being based off a true story, whether it being like completely made up. Like it's hard to take a real story, perfectly translate it into a film, but also like make it your own almost. Like and Texas Chainsaw Massacre does an amazing job of that. Like perfect. Favorite horror B movie. This, keep an eye out because this is our next episode. We're going to be reviewing this film. My favorite B horror movie is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of the best B movie horror films ever. And when I talk about horror being funny, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space is so bad, it's hilarious. Like that is a film that you have to watch once in your life. I genuinely think that it is the funniest thing in the world. Amazing, like hilarious. But it is a good film. Like the costuming behind it, it's all real costumes. They're all suits. Nothing is like CGI. Nothing is animated. Like, did you know that at the end of the movie, Clownzilla was actually going to be stop motion, but they couldn't figure out the mechanics behind it, so they actually decided to build a full-on suit and did forced perspective and editing on that final scene where he comes down the elevator and he starts stomping all over the place, destroys JoJo's ice cream truck and stuff like that. That was 100% like practical effects, like pure editing skill. And also, one of the directors, I don't know if it was the writer or the director, but I mean, they're brothers, but one of the directors was actually Clownzilla. He actually was in the suit for Clownzilla. And that film had a $2 million budget, and most of it was all spent on production costs. Like, not of it, like, obviously it's all spent on production costs, but most of it was spent on the production of like building the sets, filming, practical effects, stunts, stuff like that. But not much of it was spent on costuming because like it was so inexpensive. Like costumes were the least expensive part of that movie. Moving on, I could talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space forever, but we'll get into that at a later episode. What is your favorite and least favorite horror movie trope? I wouldn't really say I have a favorite one, but my least favorite one is when you hear a sound, you walk towards it. Like, every horror movie does it. Every horror, like, there is at least one scene in a scary movie where the main character, or one of the main characters, or B-list characters, whatever you want to say, they hear a sound and they walk towards it. They could hear, they're walking in the basement, they hear a can get kicked, and they're like, hello? Is anybody there? Joe, stop playing with me. Like, stuff like that. Like, come on. Like, if I'm hearing a sound in the basement, I'm turning my happy ass around and walking straight out that basement and locking it. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it is the most cliche, like, overused thing in history, is hearing a sound, walking towards it. Granted, I know it progresses the story. However, what also progresses the story is, oh, you hear a sound. Let's walk the other direction so you, too, are guaranteed a final girl. I'm just saying. If you want to be a final girl, don't walk towards the sound. Turn around. Just saying. Some people can learn from me. What character do you wish was more explored in the current media? Ooh. Let's see. I think Captain Spaulding. Captain Spaulding in House of a Thousand Corpses is, like, honestly an underrated character. Like, the actor, amazing actor. He was an amazing actor. But the character himself, Captain Spaulding, is hilarious. He's really funny. And House of a Thousand Corpses, directed by Rob Zombie, who, by the way, is an amazing musician, but also an amazing director. He directed House of a Thousand Corpses, the Halloween remake. What else? He did Hell's... Hold on, let's look this up. Rob Zombie horror films. He did Halloween 2. He did Devil's Rejects, 31, 3 from Hell, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Lords of Salem, Warm Bodies, Halloween, Slither, The Dead, White Zombie, Night of the Living Dead, stuff like that. He also did the not the live action, but like the newest remake of The Munsters for Netflix, which was it honestly was not what I was expecting, but it was really good. I mean, it was a good, like, for something not needing a prequel, it was a good prequel. Like, I didn't think The Munsters actually needed a prequel film, but it worked out. It worked out. I mean, it was really good. But yeah, I think Captain Spaulding as a whole just really deserves more love, more appreciation. He's a really funny character. I mean, like, just him throughout that whole film, really good. Like, I think it's Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. Those two movies that he's in, really good. What advice would you give to someone who is new to the horror world? Start small. Start slow. Figure out what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. I mean, like I said, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a really good film to start off with. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is a really good film to start off with because it's, like, cheesy, it's funny, it could be scary because clowns are terrifying. But it's a really good placement to start off and also, like, build yourself up. Another one that I would say is another good starter film is Child's Play. I mean, Child's Play is really good. It's a good, funny, like, cheesy, gimmicky kind of movie, but also it's kind of, like, terrifying because it's a little doll. But yeah, start small. Don't rush yourself. Don't go straight into Conjuring. Don't go straight into Hereditary. Don't go straight into Midsommar. Don't go straight into Cabin in the Woods or anything like that. Like, keep it small. Start your pace. Find out what you're comfortable with. Don't go straight into Saw if you're not comfortable with blood or like gore or anything like that. Like, there are horror movies that don't show gore, and if you're comfortable with that, 100% watch those movies, because a horror movie can still be good without the necessity, or not the necessity, but the use of blood or like gore, bones, stuff like that. A horror film can be great without those. For example, what's a good horror film that does not use blood? I don't know if you would classify Beetlejuice as a horror film, but Beetlejuice is really good. It's a really good starter film. Yeah, stuff like that. All right, now we're getting into the questions about the podcast section. Okay, so will your podcast primarily focus on discussing horror movies, books, TV shows, or a combination of all three? Why did you choose this format? It's going to be a combination of all three, but also with the addition of music, live events, like I said, Halloween Horror Nights, Hallow Scream at Busch Gardens, stuff like that. It's going to be anything horror. Like, I mean anything. I chose this format because there's tons of horror stuff to go over and tons to talk about, tons to cover, tons to introduce to you guys, but also, like, you guys are more than welcome to request, like, what film I discuss, what book I discuss, what movie I discuss, like, stuff like that. You guys are more than welcome to discuss, and I'm going to be opening up a forum on the website for suggestions for, like, movies, books, stuff like that. Granted, I won't be able to do everything all at once. I'll eventually get to everything, but yeah, it's going to be a culmination of everything because of the fact that there's so much to cover and there's so much to enjoy about horror. Can you provide a preview of some of the topics you'll be covering in future episodes? Yes, I did previously. We will be going over a review of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We're going to be going over the full movie, clips, kills, jokes, production, like quality stuff, all like that. Going full depth review of the movie. I'm super excited for that one. Like I said, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of my favorite movies. Favorite B film. Are there any specific goals or milestones that you hope to achieve with your podcast in the coming months or years? Yes. I hope this kicks off. I mean, I hope this becomes a successful project for me. I hope to eventually start branching out, bringing people in, reviewing, like, things with people, enjoying, like, stuff like that. Like, having a guest star is like a dream for me. Like, even if it's like someone that nobody knows, like my friend who wants to get on and wants to talk about things, like, I'm going to be taking a lot of people, like, no worries. How do you plan to engage with your audience? Will you be taking listener questions, featuring guest interviews, or encouraging audience participation in other ways? I personally am going to be taking listener questions, going to be taking suggestions, going to be taking ideas. So, like, if you guys want me to review a certain film, more than happy to, you guys are more than welcome to suggest that. And if I'm able to, I'll be more than happy to review it for you guys, give you my honest opinion, while also, like, reviewing it. Like, I do want guest interviews as well, like I said before. I want to bring friends in. I want to bring family in. I want to bring, I want to go out. I want to interview special people. I want to, get involved in the community of horror and dip my feet into the endless world of scary films, scary movies, scary books, anything scary. I'd be more than happy to get my feet into. What are your hopes and aspirations for the future of your horror podcast? Are there any dream guests or topics you'd love to cover? I wouldn't necessarily say that there is a dream topic that I want to cover. I'm going to be when I say I'm going to be going over a lot of things, I'm going to be going over a lot of things, like films specifically. I'm going to be reviewing films, going to be reviewing directors, like their work, their ideas, their processes, their like I said, mostly their work, their direction, stuff like that. My dream guest would be like James A. Janisse from Deadbeat, Michael Aiello from Horror Nights, Universal Creative, stuff like that. Like all those kinds of people I would love to interview. Like it'd be amazing. Finally, where can listeners find your podcast and connect with you on social media or other platforms? Glad you asked. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Instagram. We're going to be on Spotify, maybe Snapchat. We're going to have a website where you can go to watch previous episodes, watch new episodes, send suggestions, get involved in the community, stuff like that. Super exciting, super fun. I have lots and lots and lots of things planned for this. Super excited. But yeah, I do hope that this takes off. I hope that this is successful because I have lots of things planned. And even if it's not successful, I'm not giving up. I'm getting this. I'm doing this. This is a dream of mine. No one's stopping me. So, but yeah. That's it. That's it for the video. That's it for the podcast. Thank you guys for watching. I mean, that's all I can say. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I greatly appreciate it, you guys. Like, greatly. Thank you to all those people who gave me questions to answer. Thank you for all those people who helped me get resources and get the material and the ideas of what I want in this podcast. Yeah, I'm super excited to get started. Super excited to get to see where this leads. And super excited to start a community. Yeah. With that being said, it was an amazing time. Had fun talking with you guys. Yeah. Adios. Alright, I am re-recording the outro because the last intro that I had was incredibly awkward. So, here we are, re-recording. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a little awkward. I'm learning the ropes. Give me time. I'll get it. But, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. If you want, leave a like, leave a follow, leave a subscribe, whatever. Check out all our social medias. We're going to be on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it nowadays. TikTok, Instagram. We're going to have our own website. Make sure you check that out too. There's going to be ways you can help us out regarding future episodes, leaving your ideas, your requests, your suggestions, stuff like that. It's also going to have all of our previous episodes. It's also going to have all of our new episodes. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed once again. And without further ado, it was good talking to you. Bye.